Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior Club membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 10. That's right, only 10 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and I'll be closing the club to any new members until 2026. At that point, you can try to join again, but it'll be at a higher rate. So get your rates locked in now, and you'll gain access to our 5 fishing tournaments each year for Patreon members only, 5% off your orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off your order to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off your orders to Catoctin Creek Rods. You'll gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members only content, and of course, ad-free, commercial-free episodes of the show. You get all this for $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Cincos or a Jackhammer Chatterbait. Lock in these rates now because in 2026, I'm going to be increasing the rate to new members. And again, I'll give you an extra one here. I'll give you 8% off if you buy the membership for the year. So that'll be $66 for all of this value. There are only a few spots left, so hurry up and check out the link in the episode description. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to this last minute live edition. We are live at Jake's Bait and Tackle. The man, the myth, the legend, Jared, is not with us today. He is fishing. He's down at Chick Lake, Chick River. Is it a youth event he's with, or what is he doing down there?
I think it's a tournament.
Is it a tournament?
I believe.
It's a youth tournament. So what we're going to do is I got 2 cameras going today. So I got a up-close camera for my ugly face, and we got the big screen, which we'll adjust a little bit here. But let's just go around the room. How is everybody doing today? We're going to start with the man, the myth, the legend. Congratulations on retirement, dude. Congratulations, boss.
Finally the day got here, and I'm really excited about every day being Friday and being able to fish on the spur of the moment, and instead of just having to fish and schedule it weeks out and take whatever you're dealt with. So it's going to be nice to be able to just pick up and run and go fishing when it looks like it's going to be a potential good few days to fish.
Yes, sir. Congratulations.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Well,
Exactly.
thank you.
How you guys been?
Good.
Good.
Getting that time.
Working and fishing.
No, I feel that. I mean, we're finally getting the nicer weather here. We are here, and when this is being recorded, it's March 21st. It was a cold freaking winter. I mean, I think the Susquehanna River froze in some positions, which is, I mean, I hate to be that old guy, like it's the coldest winter of all time, but like last year was balmy compared to this year.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, they had ice on the Susquehanna. I've seen some pictures of Jason Shea that showed, and, probably 6 to 8 inches thick, especially when it was all jammed up there at Fort Hunter.
Yeah, I think this is, this has been a true cold winter from down south up
all the way up
through the north.
Yep.
And I think Jeff can tell you in reference to a lot of the pictures he's been following the Great Lakes and
a lot of ice on the Erie. It's
all
finally
creeks and running
mostly
into
getting
the
on fall
feeder
now.
creeks and so it's definitely been
It's
cold.
been a brutal winter.
You've been getting into trout fishing too. I mean, you've been spoiled with the forward-facing sonar and destroying the trout population.
Yeah, whacking them is fun. It's fun. Crappie, trout. Catching a lot of bass while we're trout fishing on the lakes, and some up in West Virginia. So it's good time.
What's harder to catch with scope? Is it a crappie or trout?
Probably the trout. Crappie are pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah, if they're biting me, if they're willing to chew. Yeah, it's.
I thought the trout would be dumber, actually. But actually, it's the crappie. Interesting.
No, yeah. And you can definitely tell the difference on the scope once you, you get used to using it some. You'll get 4, 5, 6 trout, and they're more on the move. And the crappie are just kind of all, schooled up, and 30, 40, 50, 60 of them still. Some of the lakes in West Virginia, the water temperature is still in upper 40s.
Goodness gracious.
So, last weekend we had fun. Yeah.
The pictures, guys, he did was absolutely insane. We got our first comment here. I like this one right here. We got bucktail fishing. My brother lives in Marysville, and it was frozen dang near solid there. Ice jams persisted for quite a while. Absolutely. Can you run a jet boat in ice? It's like just a floating log, right? You just run right over top of it. I mean, with your boat, at least.
No,
I've crushed through ice at Riverton a few times. I mean, I'm not talking thick ice.
Yeah, I
but
mean, if there's
put in a Riverton and go down, and I know in the lower end of the North Fork,
yeah,
I've
where
had
it's
to
more,
go through ice, and in
right, where
front
it's
of
more
the,
calmer, you know,
right
it's
in front of the
slack
golf
water.
course.
Yep.
I've had to literally bust your way through.
Yeah,
the ice. I
nothing
mean, just
thick.
idling.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and just let it break.
So it's not
Yeah.
like something that where you have to like not be on the water if there's ice floating down the river.
No,
It's still
no. If
safe.
we can break through it, we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. So, I mean, the first thing I really want to do is kind of go around the table here. Doc, I know, like, you know, if you guys don't know, he is now a free man. And so he will be leaving us in about, 4 days for a
well,
great
it's going to be about
adventure?
a week, still about a week off, and I'll be heading north. My first stop will be Erie, Pennsylvania. I'll be there for about a week, and then I'll go from there up to Youngstown, New York, and I'll be fishing. I'll be gone for about a 6-week span of time fishing, and I'm gonna try. I'll be fishing mainly Erie, Pennsylvania, Presque Isle Bay. I'll be fishing. I'm gonna hit Dunkirk, New York, Buffalo, and then the Lower Niagara, Upper and Lower Niagara. I mean, because the good part about being right there is, you know, you can just up in 40 minutes run to Buffalo, or in an hour and a half run to Erie or Dunkirk, and you know, it's kind of like fishing way we do here, going to Susquehanna or Upper Potomac or places like that. I'll just be bouncing those different spots. So that'll be when I really get cranking here next week. I'm getting everything pretty much lined up for that now.
Niagara's not talked about a lot, honestly. Like
What's that
for
now?
smallmouth fishing, Niagara.
Niagara? No.
Now they consider a smallmouth up there being a trash fish.
Really?
Yeah.
They love their salmon. They love their trout.
Yellow
Yeah.
perch,
Still
Yellow
head.
perch, right.
walleye.
Walleye.
Yeah.
Yeah, they.
Yeah.
It's all right. Leave them to us.
Do they have the
That's right.
goby up there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
They do have the
Yeah.
goby up on the Niagara?
Yep.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it dumps right into Lake Ontario, the western part of Lake Ontario. And there's some goby there, and it's just a phenomenal fishery. I mean, it's
Yeah, that'll be. You know, they had such a cold winter up there. Unfortunately, I think I'm probably going a little early. I say 2 weeks later than I'm going would probably be better. And I'm gonna kind of be the radar guy for everybody down here up there, spot checking places, letting everybody down here know what the water temperature truly is from being out on the water. So, you know, I'm gonna kind of keep everybody updated on what's going on pretty regular. So
And when the pictures start rolling in, we're going.
That's
As soon
right.
as you start going, no pictures,
Yep.
you know, like hit the
Load it up
letters.
and go.
We're
Yeah.
sending the scout out.
Yeah, I'm going to be the scout. Well, it's really going to be fun. Or, you know,
It
to be
is.
able to just break away and know every day is the fishing day.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, I just posted on my personal profile. He has a Ford F-350 truck camper, complete setup. We'll do a walkthrough at some point. You are living the dream with that setup, dude.
I'll tell
Everyone
you,
is jealous of that
It's
setup.
really, I've enjoyed it to this point, but now it's really fixing to get put to really the use it needs to be put under, you know.
Mhm.
So it's going to be fun.
Mm.
It's going to be fun, you know. I guess the downside, I wished I had a bigger boat for the bigger water, but you know, you do what you can do with what you got. So my boat will work if I pick and choose the right water conditions, you know, for what I'll be doing.
Well, for people that don't know, like what type of boat are you running?
Well, I just run my jet boat, you know, but I'll be doing a lot of river fishing.
Mhm.
So it's, you know, I feel okay using my jet boat in the river. Not that it can't, it's just like any other river. You can get conditions where you really probably shouldn't be out there and you have to pick and choose. But, and I can get on the edge. I don't ever go very far out in the lake. And if I'm in Presque Isle Bay, I'll just stay right in the bay. I may go out in the edge of the lake, but I don't drift very far out at all. I mean, I'm very close in. And that's even under the most ideal conditions because they can change so fast.
Oh, blink of an eye.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to I got to be where I can get back in really quick if something would start to change, or even look like it's going to change. And sure enough, all safety equipment. You know, I don't dare go out without a full life jacket, full float suit, especially if on in those waters.
That's actually pretty smart though. That full float suit
Yeah.
like that. I was thinking about that because that's big in kayak fishing. Because if you go in the drink in that cold water, man, you're done if you don't have something like that. And there was a poor chap, guys, comment section on me out. I think it was Sandy Cooper. A guy lost his life kayak fishing. The same thing. He just wasn't prepared for the conditions. And he went out by himself. Like gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
What kind of boat are you running?
I got an Express. Mine's 18 foot.
Oh, 18 foot. Oh, that's pretty big.
115, 80 jet.
80.
And yeah, like I said, it's a good, it's a river boat, but that's what I've been using the last 13, 14 years, and it's worked for me okay. It'd be nice to have a bigger, but like Jeff's got the ideal boat for up there between his glass boat and his center console.
Yeah, which one you talking about?
Yeah, either one. I would take either one, and I'd be in a lot better situation. But
the good thing with Gayland's boat is if the lake's too rough, you can duck back into some shallower coves. There's some creeks up there.
Yep.
That he and I've never seen a boat on this one creek.
Right.
We put his jet boat in on a creek 2 days in a row
and wore them out.
and just whacked them. We were catching steelhead, smallmouth, brown trout, and just a smorgasbord of fish.
It was.
And I wouldn't put a glass boat in.
Yeah, right.
Or my big center console. You'd have been sitting at the motel.
Yeah.
So
It gives you some options for
Pretty
type
good.
fishing I'll be doing. Like I said, I'm not going to be running 5 mile out in Lake Erie or Lake Ontario. That's not the way I fish up there. I'm, real close to the bank, even on the river. I'm not out in the middle of the river. Even I'm kind of going up and down the banks. Works out okay. Conditions right. Once again, you always can hit your conditions that you shouldn't be out there, and that's what you do. And the good part about being there is you might hit a little window, a 3-hour window that, hey, weather's right. Take 10 minutes, run down and unload your boat and fish for a couple hours and load back up and go. So that's going to be the beauty of being there, stationed there for a few weeks, not having to worry about driving long distance and this and that, or stuck. You're just there a few days and you're dealt with whatever conditions you're hit with.
Yeah. No, dude, that's gonna be so much fun. That's one of those places that I've always wanted to go. It's gonna be a little bit cold, but at least down here things are starting to thaw out a little bit. When was the last time you guys went out? Recently?
about a week ago.
Week ago?
Yeah, on the Shenandoah, Riverton area. And of course it's the water temperature is prime. Crankbait, jerkbait, spinnerbait. It's once it hits those 50 few degrees, it's pretty much anything you want to throw, whatever you have your faith in. But it seems like right now for the last couple of weeks, and I know Jeff's been fishing some too, but they're wanting to chase. So rattle traps, crankbaits, anything with a good amount of red in it, anything with a lot of orange in it. I know the river's been getting dirty and then trying to clear up and then getting dirty again. Not chocolate milk, but I'm fine with that. I'd rather have a little bit of color than crystal clear. But right now is a great time to be on the river. I think the river's in really good shape, whether you're kayaking, canoeing, jet boat and flat bottom, whatever you want to do. If you have somebody that loves throwing crankbaits or a spinnerbait, chatterbaits, any rattle traps, anything that's moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a great time to get the kids out there too, because they can throw and wind and throw and wind. Yeah.
How long does pre-spawn really last on the Shenandoah and like the Upper Potomac? Is it like, I'm thinking it's now until like what, April, or is it May really when they start spawning?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's to do with cold fronts.
Yeah. And and the water temperature being the way it is. A couple of my buddies were over on Potomac on Wednesday, and the water temperature was 55 degrees over there. The way I understand, at 60 degrees, the smallmouth will go to spawn, and I guarantee the next full moon here in April, some of them will be spawning.
Wow.
No doubt. Unless we get I know we're going to be chilly next week and some nights down in the 30s and highs in the 50s. But you take them days like yesterday, we had, talking about Thursday, we had 80 degrees yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's really, jumped it. And to me, I think we need the cooler temperatures to slow everything down.
Yeah.
Because it will. You know, they're just eating crayfish right now like you wouldn't believe. It's
Well, the water temperature is really fluxing now too. For example, I think when you were at the Susquehanna River the other day, it was
Last week,
48 or 47, right?
yeah. Well, it started out like 44.
Yeah.
And then we fished there last Thursday and Friday. And by the time we were done Friday, it was like 46.
Yeah. And when I was there, it was like got up to maybe 44, 45, during the day. And that, so it had dropped during that time.
And plus you had water rising and it's coming out of New York or wherever, western Pennsylvania.
That water is really going to be fluxing in
right.
reference to the spawn. I think it's till it kind of stabilizes where it's consistently running in that 50, 55, 50, 55 range consistently.
Yeah.
That'll be in that full moon. I think it'll be on. I mean, spawn will be on.
What's the perfect water clarity you're looking for? You're not looking for gin clear water. You're looking for almost like a chalky tint to it.
Yeah, like you take coffee and put a little creamer in it, make it just a little tint color. That's really, I like to see my bait down a foot to 18 inches.
Okay,
that's about what I really like. I mean, can you catch them when it's 3 and 4 foot visibility? Yeah. But it's just, what I like. The confidence is what it is. I mean, I got so much confidence when the water has got some color to it, stained. It does make all the difference. To me, all the difference in the world.
Well, guys, we're going to get into the next part of our show here. Drop all your questions and everything down in the comments, and we'll make sure we answer them. We're just going to go around with some baits before we get into some questions here. I guess we want to start with me, and we'll go, since I got I'll have the variety, the spice of life here before we get into crankbait overload. Let me go to my 2-camera setup here. All right, so first bait that's going to be off is the brand new 5-inch mag draft. I know a couple of guys there that are fishing my club tournament right now. Absolutely kill with this thing. This is, I call this almost like the gay rainbow color. Honestly, there's probably a fancy name for it here. Mag gold is what it's called, but it's really bright. You can also paint the tail with a little bit of chartreuse. The bigger one I've had a lot of success in. As the water temperatures warms up a little bit, I think we're about 2 weeks early with this bad boy, but this thing's going to really, really kick in. Tip with this is you can put a nail weight in the chin to weigh it down a little bit more, just so you can burn it a little bit faster. But this smaller size is going to absolutely murder the smallmouth this year. We could save this one for later. And then we're going to go with mag draft. What color is it? What's mag grace? What the color this is. Oh, Lord. We're going to call this red. That's a weird Japanese name. They make this same color in the BFS setup crankbait, jerkbait by Megabass, which is also really, really good. That hot color, man. I don't know what it is about this hotter color, but they absolutely adore it. But that's the first two that I have on the docket. What do you guys got?
As far as moving baits, the Spro, I'm getting RK50. You'll notice it's got the red and it's got some dark on the back. Right now, you just can't go wrong with that bait. Red or orange. The little dime is another good crankbait. And both of them baits are about, you're 4 to 8, which is kind of the area to fish right now. And of course, the old standby red rattle trap. Anything with red and orange.
Do you rattle? I never thought about rattle traps for smallmouth. That's an interesting one there.
Yeah, and you'll catch big smallmouth on the red rattle trap. They love it.
Let's see. We got a couple. Here's a good question by Brussels. Jackhammer or crankbait at a 45-degree water temperature preference?
Good question.
Yeah.
Me, I'm going to be throwing a crankbait at 45-degree water.
All day long.
Yes. In a red or orange.
Yeah. I think the better question is, which one has a higher hookup percentage? Do you think? Treble hooks or a single hook? Because I did pick a jackhammer, believe it or not.
Crankbait. Trebles.
I think I would look at not only I'd look at the clarity too. I mean, if it's really stained water, real stained water. Of course, I love fishing the jackhammer. I mean, that's my confidence bait over a crankbait if the water's right for it. But that's just my preference. If it's like I say, if it's staying where you maybe have foot. Of course, I know that's right down where you like it. Foot.
Yeah, I mean, either one of them are going to work.
Yeah.
Even
I think,
45 degree
I think
water.
you go out there with both of them.
Yeah.
I'd have both of them. I'll have both of them tied on in that condition. I can guarantee it.
And it's what you got confidence in. I mean, me,
that's
I got
great question.
110%, in a crankbait. I mean, you guys know me. I'll throw it when it hits 40 degrees or above, and I can't tell you how many fish I've caught on a crankbait. And some big ones.
The crankbait will also dig to the bottom a little bit better than a jackhammer will ever do. So is that something that's a variable too? It's like, when do you need that thing to hunt versus a chatterbait, which is a lot better at clipping stuff, but not really augering down into it.
Yeah, and sometimes you do need to be, when they're pegged to the bottom, you do need to be hitting the bottom with it. And that's where the 3 to 5, 4 to 8 foot crankbaits really come in, and also you can cover the water. There's so much cover, you can just, you fan cast or whatever, but it's just a way to really catch some nice fish. And when they're on it, there's nothing like that rod loading up.
And the jackhammer, the way I like to fish jackhammer, I usually like to go to the bottom, and you can feel, of course, obviously when you're on the bottom, it. And then just, a few winds and let it go back to the bottom, a few winds, let it go back to the bottom, just kind of almost like you can even jig it.
Yeah.
In certain cases, flutter it and let it hit the bottom, flutter it. But
and I think your preference is like a half ounce, isn't it?
Yeah, I fish heavy. Yeah. I fish a half ounce where I'm on the bottom.
That's what I got here. And I'll show you this actually, I'll show it to you now before we switch this next switch. I think it's really good. Jackhammer right here. You can also go with the mini chatterbait that they come out with too, or it's more of a finessey one. That one is absolute money in the bank. This fire crawl, this is actually the color I used in the Shenandoah last year for the big kayak tournament, and I finished I think in the top 10 with this and a swim jig. So that right there is money. Great question here though, by Kenny. We're gonna tag this question in. I lose a lot of fish on treble hooks. They walk. So Kenny, what kind of treble hooks are you using? Are you using standard treble hooks? What's your setup? Because that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down with about line, rod, reel, hooks that you put on there.
Changing out the hooks.
Yes.
Oh,
I think it helps personally.
Oh yeah. Some crankbaits just have, especially not the Bandit, but the Cotton Cordell, they got a bronze hook, and you definitely got to change those hooks. I mean, yeah, you can catch a fish on them, but they will. I mean, a smallmouth, they're just a fish with an attitude. That's what I call them. And believe me, when you stick a treble in them, they do get crazy. And but Mustad makes a good hook, and some guys that I get some crankbaits from, Rod Bender Fishing out of Ohio, and they put Mustad hooks on them, and hands down, they're unbelievable.
And a lot of the companies now are putting better hooks. It's getting, I think, better with time. The hooks, the standard hooks that they're placing on a lot of these baits are getting where you can actually use them right out of the pack. Yeah. In a lot of cases, I'm not saying every bait, but they're
And then some other factors I add in too. I mean, if you're throwing crankbaits and you're losing a decent amount of fish and it's becoming pretty obvious, first thing to look at is the type of rod that you're throwing. Is your rod too stiff? Most of the time, anything with treble hooks, I'd prefer a medium action, maybe not even a fast tip. Something that's got some give to it. You look at your nice, strictly crankbait rods, and it's almost like you can bend the tip around and touch the handle. They're fairly limber. And then second, I've actually seen guys throwing crankbaits with braid. Braid is braid. It's not really, meant to stretch. So anytime you're throwing crankbaits, I would recommend not throwing it on braid, even with a leader, fluoro leader or something, because you're losing your stretch. Well, your mono will stretch, and basically it keeps those hooks from ripping out. And then third, you'll see a lot of guys throwing between a 7 and an 8 foot cranking stick. And there's distance is one reason. Another reason for that is when that fish is hooked up, you won't see these guys holding the pole straight up and cranking, pointing at the sky. that rod's down in the water. That rod tip is down in the water, and they're steady, just winding. And that's to keep that fish from jumping.
Is it like a foot of rod equals like, is it a foot of line you get in or something like that? Because there's another reason too, right? Because like the longer the rod is, when you load up into him, you can get more line into
So there's several different factors into that. And just, if you are seeing yourself losing a lot of fish on crankbaits, and it even goes for topwater baits, pop bars, jackhammer, not jackhammers, but the spooks, anything like that.
Yeah. And to Jeff's point, if you might not have a glass rod to use or something like that, for the cranking, but you can take a medium or medium light, rod and use that will have some give versus the stiff rod. And then too, the mono line, you could have a rig set up with mono line, give you a little stretch if you like, if you don't have you don't have a whole a different rod for each scenario, type deal, which a lot of people don't know.
And you could also get into the rabbit hole of, are you going to go with round bends or triple grip styles? I feel like if they're jumping a lot, I like triple grips, because I feel like you just get one in them, you have a great chance.
That triple grips hard to beat.
Those Aaron Martin's finesse, like round bends, like for jerk baits, are fantastic. But if I'm digging a square bill or something, them triple grips are great. But it's also the thickness of the hook. If you're going with those really, really stout treble hooks, you can't have as wimpy of a rod. If you're fishing the tidal Potomac and you're digging a -1 over grass, you need to make sure that everything in that setup is built correctly to where if you get a 5-pounder at the far end of the cast, you can winch. A smallmouth setup and you're dealing with 8-pound, it's a completely different thing. When you load, can the hook puncture? So that's where I think it is it's a science. When you fish your light stuff, you have to match those hooks out so perfectly. So when you set the hook, that rod and everything can still get the hook through. And it's the same thing with the crankbait setup. Everything's got to be dialed in with it.
It does.
I don't know if we answered the question, but you're going to spend more money on tackle for sure to get it set up. Yeah, man. I don't know. And that's the thing though about with a crankbait bite versus a chatterbait, if you're in a tournament, is if in the summertime, at least, if you stick them on a chatterbait or a swim jig, it's harder for them to really jump versus or throw the hook versus the crankbait. No matter the best crankbait setup you have, if they're jumping every 5 seconds,
summertime is totally different,
up.
Right? Than springtime. Yeah.
Let's see. We got a great question here. It's on Instagram, sadly, so I can't share it, Jake. You could actually do it, but 7-foot medium. This is what Jake from State Farm. This is Jake. He runs Willy Wonka's chocolate guide service. 7-foot medium fast action rod, 20-pound braid to a 14-pound fluorocarbon leader is my go-to in order to keep them pinned on crankbaits. Chatterbait will land more fish no matter what. And he's a guy up on the Susquehanna. And that's what's so cool, is everyone has their own setup that actually works for them, which is crazy. And then reel speed. Do you go with the Kevin Van Dam, David Fritz 4.0 gear ratio, or do you go to a 10 and keep it moving fast? And I think that's always it depends on the situation type of deal too. Dude, it's fascinating stuff. We got Robert right here too. Yeah, I know. You could almost do a whole show just on freaking hooks. Robert Connor, there is a triple grip hook that has a braided loop on it. And I think Seth Fighter had a video at some point. Yep. Yeah. Okay. That talked about that trick. But there's a triple grip hook that has a braided loop on it that keeps the fish from twisting the hook out way less. Yes, 100% on that, dude. 100%. We got Kenny again. They do make walk less treble hooks. Never tried, but may be worth it. Yeah, dude. Absolutely try that. And then depending on the time of year, I would say you get away with a little bit heavier gear, and you just gotta manhandle them in the boat. But to each their own with that. But we're still in the crankbait rabbit hole. We even haven't gotten to you yet, dude. So what do you got to show us?
Well, these were some new colors Jenny had to order. I told her about from Bandit. And there's a 100 and the 200. A couple different colors. They sold out all the ones today. We just saw them today here, and everybody loaded up on them.
What color Bandit is this? This is the Guatemala. No. Spicy Bone Crawl. Yep. I was reading where it's made.
Yep.
Here's the new
there's a KVD. Yeah, we'll show them too.
That is cool.
Yep.
I like that color. And this is the...
And I think they got one called the Bone. I don't know which.
200?
Yeah, 100 to 200. One's 2 to 5, and the other one's 4 to 8.
Yeah.
Is that the 200?
Yeah.
4 to 8.
Perfect. That's nice. All right, let me grab this one here. And this one is the bone crawl.
Yep, bone crawl.
Don't find my face. Stop looking at my face. There we go. Yeah, that one's nice.
Yeah. Get a little clearer, a little blurry.
There we go.
Yeah.
It'll figure it out eventually.
Yep. But they're new colors for 25. And the cotton cordell is what we call Old Faithful. I mean, that's the one, the bronze hooks, that's the one you probably need to change. But that's been a really good color.
Wow, that's really nice.
The bait's been around for a while.
That has been around, yes.
Plus that camera. There we go. Perfect. Oh, that's cool.
And this one here is made in Japan. That's a Jackal Asuka 50. That right there. It's the deal.
That is the gold.
They do not make that one anymore, but that bait right there has been unbelievable for me. And
For many
sometimes
years.
they pop up on eBay and they'll sell for $30 to $40. And the only reason I'm talking about them because they do not make them anymore. But some guys will probably give me heck about it. But yeah, it is
That's gold, isn't it?
it's gold. I mean, I've caught them in dirty water, clear water. It's just and it's silent and it's got a circuit board lip. But it's yeah, hands down, it's my favorite crankbait to throw.
And you're talking about the crankbait king.
You looked at comparison.
Yeah, I mean it's
Look, this has been out for years, and then look
right.
how close those are.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, here's the
Let's talk.
KVD new colors in that one. It's the
What is this?
flat side.
Flat side
I think it's the
1.5?
1.5 flat side.
Yeah.
If you want to show them the new KVD flat side
Yeah,
new
these are some
colors for this
beautiful
year,
colors.
they're really nice. I wish I knew the name. I don't have the boxes with them, or the packs, but those are really good river,
Healthy
all
hooks too,
great
man.
river colors.
Yeah.
They are. Oh man.
Hmm?
I'd bite it.
I just want to tie
I'd
that on.
eat
I'm
it.
going to tie that on right now.
I know.
Tie one on.
That one on.
I think that's just about the whole new set of the whole new.
How deep do you think you can get these?
I think they're probably maybe 6 to 8 feet.
8 feet, yeah.
I'd
That's
say
a pretty
it's-
good bill on them.
Yeah, I'd say a
Depending
solid
depending on
8.
what your rig
Yeah.
setup was.
I'd
I'd say a long
you know.
cast 8-pound test. That's
Yeah.
going to 10 fairly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
easy.
on 8.
probably so.
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah, that's
you
pretty.
know, I was fishing in 4 or 5 foot of water, and that was too shallow.
Look at that guy right there.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
Those are some really nice new colors for this year.
That is so cool.
That's in the KVD 1.5 flat side.
These eyes are so realistic, guys, that the reason this camera's focusing so good is because it's focusing on the eyes of the damn bait. That's impressive. That's really cool. That is a slick color.
Mhm.
Well, that thing is thin too.
Yeah,
That
Those
was
are
my-
some good hooks too.
Yeah, those
like
are some hooks right out of the box.
Yeah.
I think you're good to go with. I mean, some people may change them, but just being a novel
Mhm.
pleasure fisherman like I am, those are fine. Man, those are some hellacious hooks.
I know you had 5, but you might only get 4 back.
Well, make
or
it
maybe 3
Maybe
back.
3.
But you're getting ready to go on a 6-week
Isn't
fishing.
that a
right?
nice color?
Oh, that color right there is. Yeah.
Yeah, that one too.
Huh?
And that right there is.
Yeah.
What line size do you guys like to use for your crankbaits? So I'll make sure we put that to bed. We'll start with you, Doc.
12 pound. I like throwing, 12 pound. And once again, depending on the bait, we're not talking about the little smaller baits. I'll throw them on 8, but 12, 15 pound on some of these bigger crankbaits, what I typically throw.
And then question from Troy Thompson on Instagram. That crankbait, those are the new Strike King
Flat side.
flat side. The new Strike King flat side crankbaits. They drive about 10 feet deep. They are available at Jake's Bait and Tackle right now. So Troy, sorry about it. I get so late to your question. All right, line size.
Well, on crankbait, I keep it simple. I've always done that, and I don't throw fluorocarbon. I keep monofilament, and I throw 10-pound test on my bait casters, and I throw 8 on my spinning rods.
We got to talk about that. I know it's we've talked about this beforehand, but you throw crankbaits on spinning rods.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that. Okay, gotcha.
No,
gotcha.
I throw crankbaits on the bait caster.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Even if they're light. I mean, I got some reels that, I mean, you don't get much lighter than that right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, there's one rod that I throw this on. It's a ducket rod, 7 foot, and I use the KVD bait casting reel they got, and that's the only one. That's the only thing I will throw on it, because I got it where I can, I can throw it 40 yards easy.
What depth are you getting out of that?
This goes 0 to, I mean, it'll get to go down to 4 feet.
4 feet. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and even like say this is a 50, and they make a 60, but they both run the same depth. It's just a bigger profile bait. That's all. But
that's the hardest thing with those baits right there is getting them the right depth constantly to be down. Man, I wish they made one with a bigger bill with that same profile. It's the same thing with these with the BFS version of these that Mega Bass makes. Great baits. I fish them all the time on the Upper Potomac, especially in the summertime when they have that smaller forage. But the bill size, I wish they'd make almost like a +1 with those BFS ones, just so it can get down a little bit deeper, because they don't have the same depth. But still, an awesome bait there. I see a glide bait.
Oh yeah, this here I just got one of these recently, and I'll tell you, I think this is going to be the go-to, especially early here in the year. Well, like you said, we're probably still a couple of weeks out, maybe, but it's coming up on the time, and this is that new 6 cents trace. And it's the price is reasonable. I mean, considering some of these other glide baits that you're paying $70 and $80 for, that bait is beautiful. The one I have is greenback. I think it's almost like a Tennessee shad. That one there, I think, is a sexy shad. I just grabbed it off the shelf in there, but boy, it's a beautiful bait, and it's got great action. I mean, I can't wait to really put it to use.
The glide baits and the big swim baits for smallmouth have really caught on. I was shocked. I mean, I don't know why I was shocked, but I was shocked when people started smoking them on mag drafts. And this is before the 5-inch really came out, which was insane to me. But I mean, that's how aggressive they are, man. They will smoke anything that you put in front of them right now. That's for sure.
They're catching them. The Susquehanna, they're just, I mean, that's a different category when it comes to river fishing. I mean, it's awesome fishery.
So many fish.
Yeah.
So many fish.
So many. Yes.
And the Upper Potomac is coming on. This is the best I think the Upper Potomac has fished in my lifetime, where you have a chance to actually catch really good size out of that thing. Especially like when we talk the Upper Potomac, probably what people understand the most is the confluence from Harper's Ferry down through Brunswick. But
Lander, down to Point Rock.
Where you, in reference, what portions of the river are you referencing in that area?
So so there's there's 2 parts. The one would be from like Harper's Ferry down, I think Brunswick through the Monocacy down to White's Ferry, Algonquian. That would be, I guess, the true Upper Potomac. And then you have my area, which is really from like Big Slack all the way to Paw Paw.
Is that below Dam 4?
Yeah, it is. It's Dam 4, Dam 5, all the way up. Is that area, because I live in Williamsburg or Williamsport. I'm sorry,
and that's Dam 4 there, right?
Yeah, and so there is more smallmouth there than anywhere else, but they're all 11.5 inches. But there's about 100,000 of them. Yeah, you can take anyone out with anything, and they will catch a fish. But good luck finding a 4 or 5 pounder. I don't know why it is up there like that, but it is. There's so many smallmouth and Big Slack right now. Just the size is just it's not there.
And what about up around Springfield? Where y'all fish up there a lot. I mean, that's way Upper Potomac, right?
You're up above Paw Paw about 12, 14 miles.
That's musky country too, man.
Oh yeah, definitely musky country.
Yeah, I mean, and you haven't fished up there, man. Now that you're retired, you got to go exploring up there.
Yeah, I mean, I fished a few times in the winter. Okay, there around Indian Rock area, but I've never really. Yeah, I mean, that's another area reasonably close by to explore. I got a lot of close by areas to look into, now.
And there's the tail race too. You get the tail race at behind Dam 4 and Dam 5. Of course, it's really good. And I think there's a bite at Riverton too, below the dam that can potentially be on. And if you're a walleye angler, dude, below Big Slack, it's insane because the walleye will stack up there tremendously, which I'm pleasantly surprised. Like the walleye took real good to the Shenandoah and the Upper Potomac. Like they're freaky big walleye in our rivers now. Like real freaky size.
They're eating good.
They are eating real good. And it's not bothering the smallmouth at all. It seems like they really kind of like just gel together, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're catching some nice walleye.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So then there was one question somebody asked me. Actually, this will probably lead into it. Here we go. Kenny, did y'all see the muskie caught on the Monocacy River? I did. I saw that on Facebook, dude. The Monocacy is another place where I could probably do a whole episode just on that. It is one of the biggest feeders on the Upper Potomac. You can get a jet boat up in there. I know Jeff Green has talked about that before. And this time of year, as we get into the spring, that place, they absolutely chew going into the Monocacy. But that whole stretch of the Upper Potomac, it's so weird because the Shenandoah at its biggest, you can still throw a baseball across it. The Upper Potomac proper, after the confluence, it gets really wide where you can kind of almost fish left to right to an extent. I feel like still in most of the Shenandoah, you can position to where you can hit both sides of the bank. That's the only part of the Upper Potomac where it feels more Susky-like, where it's just so wide. You can have a population of fish that just move back and forth, which is crazy. You need to definitely fish there a little more this summer, dude.
Definitely plan on it.
Now, would you guys consider yourselves more of main stem Shenandoah or the forks? You did your preference?
Say both.
Both.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I mean, it depends on the time of year. Like wintertime, I got my spots that I'll fish in the winter. And I like the South Fork. But I also do good on the main stem too in the winter. But
and I'd be the same. My preference, if I had to pick a fork, it will be the South Fork.
There's more deeper
water level.
Right. There's
water
deeper
level.
water on the south than it is the north. But
but we've got our spots on the main. The mainstream.
Yep.
Do you feel like there's a better population on the main stem or on the South Fork?
Well, I think the South Fork, you catch to me, I think the South Fork will produce bigger fish and more fish than the main stem. I do. I mean, in my opinion,
as far as smallmouth,
exactly.
Yeah.
No,
now if you're after largemouth, then mainstream probably.
Yeah, and I
you'll
really
see some up on the south.
But I mean, you get talking about largemouth. You get up at Egypt Bend, and then you get up to the town of Shenandoah. Above the dam there. There's some. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a tournament at the one I just said.
Egypt Bend.
Egypt Bend, I think there was an 8-2 largemouth caught. So
Well, it hasn't dropped yet, guys, but I had Hallecker on to do the fishing report, and he said, and he swears that there are like 9 to 10 pound largemouth in the Shenandoah, but he said they're just so smart. I think he said it was like the North Fork or the South Fork, but yeah, he said like they're just really educated, those type of fish. And that's an old fish too, I feel like, to be that big on the river. But he also said the main stem's coming back. There's a lot of big fish in there, but I feel like the main stem got hit pretty hard too from the fish kill when I was a kid. But a lot of kayak tournaments are being won out of there.
You've got a lot of water. I mean, if you think the main stem there starting at Front Row, at Riverton. You got all down through, under 50 and down through under 7 and down Watermelon Park and on down. That's a lot of
Avon
good fishing.
Bend all the way down to the Big Eddy.
Yeah. There's a lot of good fishing down there.
And parts that I feel like you can't get to if the water's not right. Especially because of that big break before Watermelon Park, man. It's got to be right if you're going to try to get a jet boat up over that thing.
No, Hawkins Ledge.
Yeah. That's going to be a fun trip trying to jump that thing.
One spot over there on the right going up.
And then West Virginia too. That's the other thing. Like from 7 down is almost another whole portion of it, which has some fun fishing.
I've never really explored.
I can't believe you haven't explored that before. Wow.
Look, man, somebody's liking you right there.
Oh, really?
Brussel, look at him. He's thinking something about bringing you back.
We got the wrong one here. We got a bunch of. Okay. Brussels says, can you guys please bring Doc back more? I mean, dude, everyone wants Doc. Absolutely. Doc's always welcome whenever he can. He's going on a 6-month holiday now.
Six weeks.
Went for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I would be good for 6 months.
He's going to try to catch a smallmouth out of every river in North America. Let's see what we got here. We got Robert Connor. There was a 20-pound sack caught on the Bend last week. I'm not shocked.
That's probably Egypt Bend.
Egypt Bend, yeah. Connor, I'm not shocked about that, dude. Like there are back. I've caught. There's like 17 and a half to almost 18 pounds we caught out of Riverton 2 years ago on New Year's Day with McCluskey. We were scoping, and it was about 17 and a half pounds of smallmouth. And that was 2 years ago. So there is 20 plus pounds in the Shenandoah easily. Like I'm not shocked by that at all. We got Kenny again, a 6 and 7 pound largemouth down towards Harper's Ferry. They're there. The thing is that I had a big DTV on it, and he fishes the South Fork and North Fork a lot when it's really shallow. He says there's a ton of largemouth. He said they're just really smart. And I think they're just bluegill eaters is what they are when they get to be that big, honestly. But that's just, my opinion. Let's see. We got Tedrick. I watched a vid where the Game and Fishery shocked a 9.5 pound largemouth by a swift area. Dude, they're in there, but they got that big because they're educated. I'm telling you. I think if you're going to catch a largemouth of that size, it's going to be now, because when that water gets really clear and low in the summertime, you probably can't get a jet boat to them, but if you float over them, they're not going to eat. Personal opinion there.
Yep.
I mean, that's like it's the same thing with the stupid river smallmouth. What was it like? What was that chart, guys? Help me out. If it gets to be 20 to 22 inches, it's like 5 to 6 years old or 10 years old or something like that. Like that's a long-lived fish when it gets over 5 pounds on the river. Like that's an educated fish.
Smallmouth. I mean, I think to get 5 to at least 5 pounds, I think they are 12 to 14 years old.
Yeah, some of them
I'd say at least
smallmouth
10.
that are 7 and 8 pounds or 20,
they're 20 years old.
Imagine how many Ned rigs and tubes.
Oh, yeah, they've seen everything. Yep.
That's why you got to go with these different color patterns.
So what's Josh asking?
Got another one here. Josh, sorry guys. Can confirm on that, especially North Fork. I have noticed an explosion in both smallmouth and largemouth, especially. Haliker, I'm just giving away this whole thing. Haliker did say this is the best the bluegill population, the sunfish population have been ever, which is interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. At least size. Let's see. We got Josh again here. I've pulled a 9-pounder out of the North Fork a few years ago and still see the same fish every year. She's smart, no doubt. Yeah, it's just those things are like musky, I bet. Just intelligent and daunting. I seen a big largemouth suck up a half-dead sunny 2 weeks ago and caught it 3 days later, 4 pounds.
Yep.
I wonder if those, and that's where that guy's like, that swim jig, man. I'm telling you, I think that's what the swim jig imitates for these smallmouth and probably largemouth too, is them little bluegill that are in the river. Well, once we get closer to that time of year, guys, I'll pull out my whole swim jig setup again and we'll go through that. I just did a video about that earlier on. I like the swim jig, but this is not the time of the year for it. It is crankbait and it is chatterbait season for sure. I didn't even tell you about crankbait setup here. I'm going with a 9 gear ratio reel. And I'm going with 15-pound braid, 15-pound fluorocarbon. I just had a stroke. Sorry about that. With this thing. And I also cut back the skirt, what I could do with my swim jigs to make it super compact. I just feel like with smallmouth, the longer the bait is, the more you're going to get your tails ripped off. I don't know why, but that's just, at least personally for me, that's just kind of what I've been dealing with. So I'm on a heavier end of the spectrum, but you like to go light with your stuff. So what is this stuff right here?
This is these are some new baits that Kenny G is coming out with.
Ooh.
I think those are called, what they call the bougie thing.
This is called Kenny's G. Oh, sorry. There it is. Bougie Thang. Greenback. Great marketing.
That's a great little finesse bait. Is that the 2.5
Yeah.
inch?
Mm-hmm.
That thing is so good.
While you're on Kenny G, here's the 3.5, and that's a killer too. It's gonna be a killer.
Oh man.
And all available at Jake's.
That's a greenback. Here, that's the brown back, and here's the greenback.
I love that color too.
There's that. Show them out one, Jeff, there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that Jake's Bait and Tackle is now carrying Kenny G baits. He makes very good quality baits. And matter of fact, I was using some of his tubes just a few days ago, and they held up great. I mean, I caught several fish on one tube.
Okay. Oh, you sly dog.
Yeah, those are.
Dog about that.
I add a little bait fuel to the bags.
Good man. And guys, you can get this at Jake's Bait and Tackle. I'll take a picture of everything that we talked about here today too, guys, and I'll post online.
And then for the guys that want to go smaller profile, trout, crappie,
I'm gonna ask you.
more of a finesse style. That's we've been doing real good on
Look
trout.
at that tail.
Real good on trout and crappie on that bait. Rig it on like one of Roger's jig heads, like a 1/32 ounce, number 6 hook.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that thing quivers. That's actually pretty firm too. I like that plastic.
Yeah, they're holding up well.
Yeah, they really hold up well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been impressed. He does good quality. He does very, very good quality. So I think Kenny G baits are worthwhile and getting.
Question on Instagram is, what rod setup are you throwing that little crappie one on?
Usually a St. Croix rod, like a 5'8",
Is it 5'6",
5'6", 5'8", medium power, fast action, 4-pound line, and you can throw it on mono or fluoro.
Show me your line there, G.
It's generally 1/32 out, and this is something that I've started testing. That's Beyond Braid. I've started using that in the early fall last year in saltwater for Spanish mackerel and toothy critters that want to chase baits. And this, I believe the diameter on this, it's less than 4-pound test like mono. I think it's 0.010. So what I've started doing is spooling this up on the smaller St. Croix rod, the medium action fast tip rod, and spooling this up, and then adding about a 6 to 8 foot 4-pound test fluoro leader. So when the water's crystal clear and I need to get this 1/32 ounce jig as far as I can from the boat, like dead winter time, with this little, like one of little Kenny G's baits, or a little power bait minnow. So I'm seeing that this line is letting me get a further cast. So, but I still have my 4-pound test fluoro leader hooked to this. So in that clear water condition with a smaller bait, it's working.
Why 4? Like, how did you get married to 4-pound test?
Oh, I'm
masochist or what?
If anybody,
if he could throw 0, he would probably do it.
I would.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I'm not strictly, but I'm 80,
95.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 95.
Okay, I was gonna say 87.5, but I'm pretty much a light tackle guy, and all these guys know that. I'll throw 4-pound test at Erie. I'll throw 4-pound test on the Niagara River and catch 15-pound lake trout. 6.5 pound smallmouths. I mean, these guys have netted them. So, but you're going to lose fish. But for me, it's my confidence level. This is a crankbait guy sitting beside of me. That's his jig, crankbait. He'll be throwing a crankbait. I'll be throwing, this, but I will pick a crankbait up. But my confidence level, everybody has their confidence level. My confidence level, no matter what time of the year, whether the boat's, going through ice, trying to get to the hole, my confidence level it's 4-pound line. And you ask why 4, but it's the range. And I seem, as opposed to 6, and I think I can feel my bait better and I maintain contact better. And it's the whole setup. I don't want a flimsy rod. No. At all. I want a medium action, fast tip. And that's just my jigging style. And I'll keep that rod tip barely pumping and just barely move the reel handle.
I will say now that I 2 years now with forward facing sonar on my boat, not my kayak, but my boat, guys. The tip is so important for jigging minnows and stuff like that, to where when you're throwing that feather in the ether, that you can just almost like you're almost feeling the weight of the bait on the line. You're not feeling the bait itself, but you're feeling the weight of the line when you're jigging it, and that little weight difference.
Yeah.
And Doc, it was like 2 years ago that you went out with me on Frederick and stuff, and we caught that
monster. You caught that monster crappie.
Monster crappie. And it was like I'm shaking the line. All of a
Yep.
sudden, like the line was a little bit heavier. If I had a really thick taper, I wouldn't have felt that thing.
Right.
Because you're almost just like loading up into it a lot of times with it.
Yeah.
And you know, and to Jeff's point on this Beyond Braid, he turned me on to that, and I've been very impressed with it. I've got a couple of my lightweight rig with that Beyond Braid, and the color that they got a blue camo and they got a camo, you know, a green brown camo, and I'm telling you, that line is. I think you could almost just hook right directly to that braid. You cannot see that line. I mean, it's so thin, and then the way the color is broke up on that line, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, you agree with that, Jeff?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like there's 300 yards on this little spool, and I put this on a 3000 series reel, Vanford, I think it was, and I didn't put any backing on to start, and it took all 300 yards and would have still had room for probably another 40, 50 yards.
That's insane.
That's how thin this stuff is.
That's crazy, man.
and in water, you just, I'm telling you, it's just like it looks like.
Now, like say where I
Very hard to
tested
see.
that was saltwater, throwing off the beach for Spanish mackerel. And anybody fishes for Spanish, when they get picky, the exceptional eyesight, you know, they're sight feeders. If they, you know, you can't throw a steel leader, it's all that. Anything they see, they're going to shy away. And I started throwing this last fall, early fall, beginning of September, from shore, and tying it straight to the lure with no fluoro shock leader, and they're hitting. So that's telling me, like Doc said, it's kind of almost invisible in the water to the fish. So it's working out great.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with that. That's becoming fastly my go-to braid.
I'm gonna have to get that a shot. Then. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I just love the diameter of it. It's so thin. Yeah. Yep, something to look at.
I had a thought, and it completely excited me. So we'll
Kenny's
go to
asking what
conversation.
the water temperature
Here's
is on
a-
Below Millville.
here
Now, I
we
know at Brunswick,
Kenny.
Wednesday, it was 55 degrees.
So,
So that helps him out.
So Kenny, I just so everyone can hear that are going to be listening to the re-upload on Apple and Spotify. Just wondering, do you know the water temperature below Millville on the Shenandoah? I can't find anything on it. So below Millville, you could just reiterate that, and I can actually check it real quick. You said Brunswick was 55 degrees.
55 on Wednesday.
So it's probably going to be 55 degrees, guys. And I will post that actually on YouTube too, if I can get a direct answer for you on the water temperature.
You want me to? Can I show you?
Absolutely,
new
yeah.
boat?
Yeah, dude, go for it.
You know, and I think as we go further into the spring, this is going to become more a go-to for me. Once again, here at Jake's, we got new plastic Barry's custom baits. Barry, he's just got some awesome. I guess this is probably the 4-inch swim bait. And he's got some larger swim baits that are just. I mean, they're fantastic. Some of the colors that he has. That's just a couple of them. Just show you some jig heads. These may be a couple other different colors. There's a blue one in here, but you know. Just like with Kenny G, he makes some really top-notch, high-quality baits, and I've been very, very impressed and really looking forward to using some of these. And Jeff's got a couple here to show you. This is Barry's custom baits.
Yeah, he does.
Large,
Swim baits, tubes.
yeah.
Little chatterbait
I
trailers.
like using his larger swim baits and Kenny G's smaller finesse baits. I'll tell you, we're very fortunate to have those two bait
and
companies.
this is a tube that Barry makes. It's more of a finesse tube.
What's going to do with this one, guys? Because I'm getting tired of this camera. Hold on. I want to get up. Good to know that camera is going to go in the trunk. And we'll go with the 2000.
There you go.
Oh, that looks better.
Yeah.
There you go. Get what you pay for, everyone.
And that's a 2.75.
It's a Miller time. But those, this beautiful color.
Yeah, purple hue.
That is,
Yeah, got
man,
it.
it's
And same way with some of the Kenny G smaller baits. Just color is just incredible.
Yep.
Ain't that
Yeah, you
blue?
just see the purple right there.
Yeah,
Man. Just look at
purple,
that.
blue.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they're all available here at Jake's.
Yep. Very happy that Jake's carrying these new baits. That's just awesome. That's purple.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm buying the rest of these Kenny, these 2-inch.
Oh yeah, those are going to be a hot commodity as fishing gets tougher. I can guarantee it.
It's just if you're fishing any like clear lake, and I'm talking with the mic in front of me, which is not good. Let's try this. Let's wait until you get over here.
That's when
So-
the water gets slack. I mean, the
Yeah.
current. I mean, or no
Look at the tail
ripple
on
in
that.
the
You
water.
see the
just
action
flat-
on that
flat as
natural.
a- Yep. I mean, that's what you got to go to.
Anything
Because
Slim's
the
gonna eat.
nastier the weather and them lakes up our rivers we fished.
Yeah, like when you're fishing any type of small river or you get a clear lake, you got to have something like that in the boat because
Oh yeah, you don't, you're missing out.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll have one instance where that's all that they'll get.
Yeah.
They just will get dialed on that tiny stuff for some reason and they will not get anything else. It just will happen.
Here's one other bait I'll just throw out there. And coming up definitely on this time too. Just don't forget on your spinner baits. It's getting that time of year. Don't forget about considering your colored blade, especially that red color or orange blade on the front. It can make I think it can make a difference. Some people might not believe that, but I think there's times that can possibly
I
help.
need to get some more, but I'm gonna have to get some in flat sides.
Yeah, you got them here.
Like, did they say they had these here?
Yeah, they have them at one time. Jenny, I think, ordered some.
That blade makes such a big
12
difference.
boxes now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think you throw that like that,
What's
don't you,
on
Thomas?
Yeah, exactly.
The red, just to show people the different color. I like that red this time of year.
I just don't know
Or
why that
orange,
red blade
I
works
mean.
so much.
I think that's about it on my stuff.
That's on there. Perfect. All right, cool. All right, guys, we're going to get some of your questions answered here and see if we can get out of here tonight because all of us are going fishing the wrong one somewhere. Let's see. We got that question done. We got that one done there. Get all your questions in now, guys, before we just wondering temperature. We got that one. Here's another good one right here, which is if y'all had to pick one all-around soft plastic color to use on the Doa, what would it be? One color.
Go ahead.
It'd probably be the JW Custom
Tube.
Yeah,
2.75.
2.75
Hands down.
tube.
Hands down, JW Custom 2.75,
3/16 head.
Mhm.
3/16 head. Hands down.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Not
that's,
just the Shenandoah either. I mean,
it's pretty much everywhere.
Tennessee River to
Yeah,
Canada.
all the way up north. Mm-hmm.
No doubt in my mind.
Mm.
Not a doubt in my mind, I should say. No doubt. Not a doubt in
It'd
my
be
mind.
either the. I've had a weird amount of success with a June bug colored Ned rig in gin clear water up where I'm at on the upper Potomac. I don't know why, unless it's the Mad Toms or something like that, but that really dark contrast on the bottom seems to get bit a lot, especially in the micro TRD, which no one throws out enough. That and the tickler. The ticklers also, for some reason, can be good. So I'm gonna go with that as my second best. I don't even know. Probably, probably green pumpkin. I can throw that anywhere. I'm gonna go back with June bug. I throw June bug way too much. Honestly, it makes no sense, but it works for me.
And the JW Custom is a I wouldn't say totally a green pumpkin. It's a green
got one.
color.
Bring it out.
It's kind of
Yeah.
between
Show it.
kind of
Yeah.
between like a dark amber
Yeah.
and a green pumpkin.
Here's one. Right here. Let's find it here. Where is it?
Doc just happens to have one.
Well, he's got a camper out front with everything.
Yeah, if it
Just
ain't
right
here,
there.
we'll go out there and get it out of
that's
the
with the
camper.
3/16 head with the weed guard, and that right there is the go-to tube color. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best one made.
What
I mean-
type of tube is it? A tube head hook is this? What kind of hook is
Rogers jigs,
it? Rogers jigs.
Rogers jig head with weed guard, 3/16. Also contain this here at Jake's.
There you go.
Very fortunate to have Jake's Bait and Tackle here that carries a lot of the stuff that you can get nowhere else.
I mean, what did y'all? I know it's been years
Chatterbait.
ago, but you talking to that color tube up there at Presque Isle Bay at Erie?
Right.
What did y'all have? 750 in 3.5 days.
735 bass in 3.5 days.
Yep.
Yeah. The one morning we had 100 in the boat by 9 o'clock, and that's a boat without a trolling motor.
Yep.
We were playing the anchor.
That's
game.
anchored down.
Wait,
Yeah.
a boat without a trolling motor?
Yeah.
Whoa,
We was in
It was
my big
anchored in
center
a big
console.
boat.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. That was a story.
Mhm. Yeah, we played the anchor game. We just go back and find a spot look good, drop the anchor, and
Yep, fishing.
there's 3 of us
And it
fishing.
was pouring down rain just so
Yeah.
hard you couldn't hardly see. And waves were just kicking.
Yeah.
But we was able to, in his boat, be out there.
And there would be
And-
30 boats around y'all.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and nobody's catching fish but those guys.
Yeah. People coming over asking where we got out of, and yeah.
What color did you tell them it was?
Ditch pickle.
There you go.
It's
And where can you buy those at?
Jake's Bait and Tackle. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys! This is always fun. We're gonna have to do this again once you get back from your great journey.
Yeah, we'll try to keep y'all posted on the upcoming
Y'all
adventure.
have some stories in.
Oh yeah, you have some good stories.
Yeah, should have.
We guys had a couple of stories.
And the fun part about this whole ordeal is going to be is there's going to be a lot of folks from down here coming up. So we'll all, we'll be getting together, of course, when that happens. It's always fun. And I always feel very safe when I know people from home is drifting in and out to those areas. Because, you never know. Boat trouble or vehicle trouble or
And it's a
this
different
and
world.
that,
up there,
or
the weather.
you got somebody somebody's going to be coming up, or you need something brought up. Yeah, it's the camaraderie and fellowship of us, the fishermen. We have a good time, go out and have dinner at night and enjoy it.
Yep.
It's just going to be a lot of fun.
And we got a good message. Kenny says, thanks for interacting with me. I fish Shenandoah just about every day during the winter and spring, and I am very successful. Thanks again. Kenny, email me fishingthedmv@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram. You just want a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle, so just message me and I'll get it to you within 24 hours. I won't get it to you tonight, that's for sure. I got to drive and stuff. But yeah, you just want a gift card. Come on out there. This is a great place. This is Smallmouth Central, and this is why I've always included the Susquehanna, is because it's so close. Like everyone that lives here, my whole life always fishes the Susky, and it really is part of this weird place where you got the Shenandoah, you got the Upper Potomac now that's on fire, and now you got the Susquehanna, the Juniata. This is such a great smallmouth area of the country. I don't think there's really a better, besides up north. Like this is the hub, I think, for river rats.
It is.
Oh yeah,
Because-
I think so. I mean, you start down at southern part of Virginia.
Yeah.
The southern part of Virginia on up. You got look at the New River.
New-
The James
New
River.
James.
y'all
You got the
talking
Stanton
about.
River.
Maury,
Stanton
Stanton.
River's got a lot.
Yeah.
I've never fished it, but the
The
guys
Holston
catch
River,
some.
yeah.
Yep.
So if you think about it, you're right. I mean, this is just all the way up.
But
to
hands
the
down, the Susquehanna River is just.
It's back.
It is, to me, it's the best fishing on the East Coast.
Oh,
Hands down.
easily.
Yes.
And that thing is so big you can cut it into parts too.
Oh, yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and I think, I've been fishing it close to 30 years, and probably, if you had to measure it, about an inch is about all I've fished. I mean, I love to get up above, up around Sunbury, but it's just hard to go play when you've been catching them. I mean, me and my buddy was there last Thursday and Friday. 2 days we had 213 fish. I mean, it's prime time right
It's
now.
Looney Tunes.
It
Just
is.
the old saying, don't leave
Don't
fish
leave
to
fish
find
to find
fish.
fish.
But and this is something I wanted to mention on the show. You reminded me of it. It's so weird though that with all the size there, you can still go to the Upper Potomac or the Shenandoah and you can catch the bigger one. It doesn't make any sense to me. Where and if you guys know, with Patreon and my club, we have fishing tournaments. We've had a couple of fishing tournaments. The biggest fish ever caught in all those tournaments is always the Shenandoah or the Upper Potomac, never the Susky. The Susky will pump out a shit ton of 16 inch, 3.5, 4 pounders.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it's the Shenandoah or the Potomac that are going to drop this massive 23-inch stud. It makes no sense why that is, but it is that way.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest smallmouth local river's been out in Shenandoah.
Yeah.
It was 512 far as in the rivers around this area. I mean, in our area. Yeah. I'm not talking about up north. That's the different.
You can't
get up
even
there,
compare.
You get up there in
to
the Niagara River, and I mean,
you could have an 8-pounder.
Yeah.
My biggest smallmouth was on the mainstream of the Shenandoah in February.
Yeah.
38-degree water temperature, weighed 6.5 on a crankbait.
Yep.
38 degrees. This guy netted it, and this guy weighed it.
Yep.
So only bite I had all day.
So to your point, you're right. I mean, that's bigger fish. It seems to be.
And I caught one last year, February 15th of 24, on a tube on the South Fork, was 6'8", was 22.5 inches.
I caught that one that was almost 23 in the summertime last year on a swim jig on the Upper Potomac in a tournament. It was almost 23, and that thing looked like a muskie coming out of the water.
Wow.
And
what'd that thing weigh?
I didn't have a scale.
Oh,
I was trying to flag down jet boats to be like, I'm done with the tournament. I need to get this thing weighed. It was mad. It was so big, like on the bump board, its gut spilling over the side.
Oh
its
my
back.
goodness! Too bad you couldn't get that way.
Dude, I wish. But it's that part of the river there. It's just so much bait for some reason. I don't know what's going on right now, but it's like the water was like vibrating. There's so many minnows.
Do you see a lot of crayfish up in there? Crawdads up in that area?
Yeah, from Algonquian all the way to I would say probably past the Monocacy. There's some crayfish, but I really think the forage right now, and you can chat, you can help me out if I'm wrong here. It's the minnows. Whatever those minnows are in there. You could walk across the part of the river. There's so much bait. I don't know why there is now, but there is. You get up towards my area where the Conica jig dumps in, there's a lot of crayfish. The Conica jig is healthy. That thing has so many crayfish in it. It in the evening in the summertime, the whole bottom's moving. There's so many crayfish in it. And the Monocacy is that way too. So there's a lot of feeder creeks on the Upper Potomac.
That's what I noticed about Susquehanna. It's just so many crayfish in
goodness,
certain areas you go. And just
the
hundreds
bottom
of them.
looks like
Just hundreds of them.
moving,
You
yes.
see moving in some of that shallow water, you get up in it.
Yep.
Well, there's got to be some bait fish too. And I know you guys in the chat because like the only reason they're hitting these mag drafts because this doesn't look like a crayfish. So it's like, what are these guys eating where they think they can take on, these glide baits and everything? It's insane up there. But they're also just mean too. So it could just be that as well. So who knows? But anyway, guys, I'll get this last thing done. We'll call it here. My biggest smallmouth was 5 pounds out of the North Fork first week in March a few years ago. Caught them throwing a blue crawl Reaction Innovations beaver tail. Never caught anything on them since. That's a 5 pounder is a big one. That's an old fish too, dude. That's an absolute oldie.
Great fish.
Let's see. I've caught several 22 plus inches in the last year. They're definitely something special here. Yeah, The problem with where I live is that I live hours away from just about every good lake and river. Where do you live then, dude? The moon? Come on, man.
Time to move.
Yeah, you can move in with me, or you come live here at Jake's. They'll take you for free if you help out. Where is it? Last one of the night will be Cliff. Says there's a ton of bait. Cliff, I'm getting you on the show, by the way. We're gonna do a full Upper Potomac. This guy, if you want the Upper Potomac River rat, Cliff Bennett. He basically spent 3 years just living on the river.
Wow.
He knows the Upper Potomac. And I think the one reason, guys, that doesn't get as much pressure is because they shut down White's Ferry, because Loudoun County's stupid. It's really hard to fish it. There's not a lot of boat ramps on that portion of the river. I think there's Brunswick, and there's another one I'm missing, and I will put it in the episode description, but there's one a little bit farther down from Brunswick.
Lander.
Thank you. Yep.
Then the next one would be Point of Rocks.
Then Point of Rocks.
Yeah.
And then it kind of drops off the face of the earth. And Monocacy's got a boat ramp too, if it's got enough water in it. I've caught 2 that were 22.25 inches in both 6 pounds and 5 ounces on the South Fork of the river. Dude, I'm telling you guys, there's some monster smallmouth in the Shenandoah right now, which I think that's the best closing thought. Because again, when I was a kid, the Shenandoah just sucked. It really did in the early 2000s. It was bad. You really couldn't catch anything. And now 2 years in a row, kayak tournaments, it took over 90 inches to win, which is about probably 17 pounds. There's been jet boat tournaments that take 20 pounds. Like the river right now is on, it's the best it's been in probably a decade, right? Like
Quite a
it's
while.
really good.
Yeah.
So go to Jake's Bait and Tackle, stock up on stuff. Go follow Doc. He is going to be doing, I don't know if he's doing TikTok or Instagram shorts for his travels, but he will be back in May-ish sometime.
Mm-hmm.
So worst case scenario, we'll have him back on when he gets back and he gets rested up from his gypsy travels, enjoying the good life. And guys, get out there this weekend. If you have any questions for me, shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or you can email me and I'll get those answered. And we will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. And one last thing. Come out to Jake's Bait and Tackle, shop for all of your stuff. All this stuff, most of it here, we got from Jake's. Please come support them. If it wasn't for them, none of this would be possible. And also go check me out on Patreon. We only have 8 spots left, I believe. And then I'm shutting that down. If it wasn't for Patreon, none of this would be possible since I'm putting out about 10 episodes a week. So go check that out. And we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.